Now at 6, where did the driver go? A man on a motorcycle crashes on a boardwalk, killing his passenger, then taking off. Tonight, the mystery behind what happened.
And what's the best way to approach a homeless problem in your town? How about cutting down all the trees in Times Square, in Town Square? We'll explain what's happening.
Plus, banning guns in Times Square, where you won't be able to carry a gun, concealed or not, just 48 hours from now. And Times Square isn't the only place. Good evening. I'm Natalie Pasquarello.
And I'm Chuck Scarborough. We start with breaking news out of Franklin Township, New Jersey, where a 2-year-old child died in a hot car.
Just a tragic story. We want to get right to News 4's Ida Siegel, who just arrived on scene. Ida, what have you found out so far?
And Natalie and Chuck, investigators are still here on Summerall Avenue. I want to point you to the car where that toddler was found. It's that dark gray sedan sitting on a flatbed truck that will presumably be towed shortly. Here's what we can tell you about what happened here. According to the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office, they are investigating a hot car death. Sources tell News 4 that it was a 2-year-old sitting in the back of that sedan, and the child may have been in the car for as long as 7 hours on this very warm day. Again, police confirmed that toddler died. A neighbor on this quiet suburban block went outside when he saw the commotion. He described an absolutely heartbreaking scene. Take a listen.
I saw a lot of commotion, a lot of police officers, a lot of ambulances. I was wondering what's happening. I went outside. Something was happening around the car, I knew, because the police was around the car and the ambulance people were around the car. And then they opened all the doors. I saw I guess the mother, and she collapsed. She collapsed on the grass, so the ambulance took her.
Again, that neighbor is presuming that the woman he saw was the mother. He's seen her around the neighborhood before. He says she has 2 children who would play happily. They come from a good, average family, which leads many to ask so many unanswered questions. How did this happen? Who was caring for the child? That we don't know just yet. Reporting live from Franklin Township, Ida Siegel, News 4, New York.
Just heartbreaking. Ida, thanks for the update there. We're also following breaking news out of Russia this hour. Former Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev has died at age 91. The Central Clinical Hospital said that he died this evening after a serious and long illness. He was the 8th and final leader of the Soviet Union. In the 1980s, Gorbachev embarked on summits with President Ronald Reagan to limit nuclear weapons and end the Cold War. NBC Nightly News will have a closer look at his life and impact right after this newscast.
Now to Storm Team 4, we're watching some storms to our west right now.
Yeah, they are moving into our area, so we want to get over to meteorologist Janice Huff tracking it all at this hour, Janice.
Just slowly starting to approach northern New Jersey and Sussex County right now with downpours and quite a bit of lightning that extends up into portions of Ulster and Sullivan counties where there are some flood advisories in effect. I've seen quite a bit of rain there in just the past few hours. The radar estimates anywhere from 1.5 to about 2.5 inches of rain in the vicinity of Neversink and Thompson. That's from some of the downpours and storms that have been sort of training over the same areas one after the other throughout the afternoon. We haven't seen any activity, of course, as you get towards the city, coastal Connecticut, Long Island, and the Jersey Shore. That's because the front is so slow moving. But it'll be here in just a matter of hours. So our storm chances will continue through midnight, even if you haven't seen anything yet in your area. The greatest risk for damaging winds and flooding will be north and west of New York City, with 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible, that isolated flash flooding that I spoke of. The storms will weaken, though, later on this evening and will clear out, and it'll feel great headed into the holiday weekend. I'll talk about that in the 10-day forecast coming up. Back to you.
All right, Janice, thank you. The City Council is drawing the line on packing heat in Times Square. This comes after the recent Supreme Court decision that threw out New York State's concealed carry law.
Yeah, new state law already designates Times Square as a, quote, sensitive area. And today, lawmakers hashed out the boundaries of Times Square. In only 2 days, unless you're licensed to carry, it will be against the law to have a gun in that area. And
much like you've seen in an old Western movie where signs warned visitors the town was gun-free, there will be signs all around Times Square saying the same thing. News 4's Erica Byfield is live in Times Square with all the details for us. Erica.
Well, Chuck, leaders think this is actually going to have the biggest impact on people who live and work around here and who have a permit to carry a license within this area. They say that they're still going to be able to do that, but there are going to be specific rules that they have to follow. For everyone else, no guns allowed. On September 1st, it'll be illegal to pack heat in Times Square, a mega change that's getting huge praise from people who work here.
I'm just cautious about being in Times Square, working in Times Square.
This is happening in the wake of the U.S. Supreme Court decision that tossed New York's gun provisions. So this summer, state lawmakers scrambled to solidify new rules that ban weapons from sensitive areas. They ultimately defined them as places like schools, churches, and they included Times Square.
I think it's great. I don't think that any civilian should be carrying a gun for any reason whatsoever.
With time ticking, leaders met at City Hall on Tuesday to finally outline where Times Square is. This is where things stand, loosely at 6th Avenue to 9th Avenue between 40th and 53rd Streets.
That's good, because there are a lot of families come here with their kids.
Soon, the city's going to hang signs like this to the entrances of the zone. They'll be translated in at least 10 languages. And while this might be a gun-free area, people who have a carry license and live and or work here can bring those guns into this zone.
When they are traveling, they have to travel in a locked container.
Anyone who breaks this new law will face a felony and time behind bars. There is no grace period. Some city lawmakers called that unfair.
And September 1st, again, is literally around the corner.
News 4 has learned more than 4,600 people applied for gun permits in New York City last year, and that's a trend that continued into 2022. It's unclear how many of those people are actually seeking permits to concealed carry those guns on these streets, but for most, as of Thursday, when it comes to Times Square, it's a no.
Any incremental change is going to be an improvement, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't do something.
So the full council still needs to vote on the boundaries of Times Square as laid out in this proposal. We do not know when they will take that vote, but we do know when this law goes into effect, and that is on Thursday. In Times Square, Erica Byfield, News 4, New York.
Erica, thanks for the latest information there. And we have some new details in a deadly boardwalk crash in the Rockaways. We know that one person has died, one is hurt, and another is a wanted man. Police still trying to find the motorcycle driver who got into that crash there on the Rockaway Beach boardwalk and just took off. News 4's Gabi Acevedo live in Edgemere, Queens. Gabi, I understand you talked with the victim's family today?
Natalie, that is correct. And David's brother is flying into New York City tonight to claim his brother's body from the morgue. We spoke with the cousin of 25-year-old David Molina, who also told us that the whole family is at a loss for words. Police say David Molina died on Monday afternoon after a wild accident on the Far Rockaway boardwalk while riding as a passenger in a motorcycle. Today, friends and family were still in disbelief.
I'm just shocked. I just can't believe this right now.
He's always been like a very funny and caring person. He's never disrespected anybody.
Both of these friends remembering the good times they shared with David. They came to pay their respects at David's home in Cedarhurst, where apparently he was picked up by a friend riding a dirt bike like this one.
I don't know anything about that. I just know that he was a good person, and may he rest in peace.
A friend picked him up and rode away with David on a motorcycle, only to later lose his own life. The words from cousin Mirna, who also told us in her native Spanish that David's mother is traumatized and in shock and had advised him against getting on the motorbike with his friend.
I was talking to his mom, and she told me that he was trying to better his life,
According to the police, the motorcycle was coming this way on the Far Rockaway boardwalk near Beach 47th Street when it hit a pedestrian, lost control, and sent the passenger flying into one of these benches. David, who worked as a security guard and provided for his family here in the U.S. and back in Nicaragua, suffered severe head trauma and was pronounced dead at the scene.
He was a hardworking man. He was a good person.
Police say the 26-year-old driver fled the scene on foot. Mirna says all she wants is for the driver to turn himself in so that David's family can have some closure.
This was my friend. Like, one day you see him and then the next day he's gone.
Police say the 55-year-old man who was struck by the dirt bike is now recovering from minor injuries. No arrests have been made at this hour. Meanwhile, police and park rangers have been reminding people here that it is illegal to ride motorized or electric bikes, scooters, or ATVs on this boardwalk. Reporting live from Edgemere, Far Rockaway, Gabby Acevedo, News 4, New York.
All right, Gabby, thank you. Let's go to New Jersey now, where a new security plan will help first responders know the exact layout of every school in the state. $6.5 million in federal funding will be used to collect and digitize school building blueprints. Using military technology, every hallway, every classroom, every entry and exit, even surrounding roads will be clearly labeled. Those maps can then be used by first responders in the event of a school shooting or any other emergency. State officials explained why it is so important.
But if we have outdated maps, if we have outdated plans, if police officers don't know what they're walking into, it doesn't matter how many show up, it doesn't matter what tools they have, they're going to be at a disadvantage.
Governor Murphy said that out of about 3,000 school buildings across the state, half already done. The funding will make sure the rest are mapped out by the beginning of next school year, Chuck.
And in New York State, one teachers union says one of the main focuses of school safety should be student behavior. In their report called Safe Schools for All, the New York State United Teachers Union focuses on the increased social emotional needs of students who are disruptive in class and the safety issues these students can create for schools. They say safety issues and class disruptions have only gotten worse since the pandemic.
To hear about our school staff, and when they tell it, there are twice as many everyday safety incidents and disruptions and behavioral issues that are impacting their school environments. It's our obligation to do something. This is literally the foundation to all of the work we do.
The union's recommendations include addressing ongoing staff shortages and reducing class sizes, creating consistent school safety guidance for schools across the state, and implementing behavioral support practices. And big news for taxi drivers here in New York City. There's now a deal designed to help them climb out from under a mountain of crushing debt. Under an agreement announced today by Mayor Adams and the Taxi Workers Alliance, the loans the cabbies took out to buy their medallions will be restructured to a maximum of $200,000. Most of that amount will be secured by a city-backed guarantee. The Taxi Workers Alliance says that means drivers will no longer have to worry about losing their homes if they default on their debts. Medallions are the permits the city requires for cabbies to work here. The price of a taxi medallion once topped $1 million. It's fallen to less than $200,000 today.
All right, still ahead this evening at 6 o'clock, a strange solution to talk about with the homeless problem.
A New Jersey town chops down 30 trees to deal with homelessness. I'm Gus Rosendale in Lakewood with reaction from a move that some people are saying is unfair.
And nearly 1 year after the remnants of Hurricane Ida hit the city, the push for new action to make sure basement apartments aren't devastated like that again.
Well, some of the migrant families who arrived in New York City on buses from Texas will now have a new roof over their heads. This shelter on the Upper West Side you see in the video opened last night with 126 available beds. The city has not specified how long the asylum seekers are allowed to stay at that specific location. But we know thousands are already in the shelter system. More buses arrived just this morning.
Take a look at this Google image of a Lakewood town square. Once it was covered with trees, but not anymore. To keep homeless people out of town square there, the New Jersey town's mayor took the rather extreme step of cutting down all those trees. Now, not everybody's happy about the scorched earth approach to the problem. News 4's Gus Rosendale has the story from Lakewood.
Some people miss the trees. Others, like Dina, miss the shade.
I like it when more looks like more gardening, you know. I always park my car here. And now it's on the sun,
Your car's getting the sun now.
Yeah, so I'm not really happy.
About 30 trees taken down earlier this month at Lakewood, New Jersey's town square, leaving behind stump after stump after stump. The town's mayor, Ray Coles, tells the Asbury Park Press the move followed numerous complaints about homeless people gathering and sometimes defecating in the area.
I guess it just did away with the trees so that there wouldn't be any gatherings.
The mayor says homeless people should use housing vouchers instead of staying in public spaces. But homeless advocates argue that's easier said than done.
The only way that we see robust success with connecting people to housing vouchers and ultimately stable permanent housing is by shepherding them through the system and providing that supportive service.
As you can tell by the width of these trees, they've been around for a while, and there are quite a number here. By our rough math, approximately 30 trees were taken down in the town square.
Sitting under the lunchtime sun, Patrick Martin reflects on the lack of shade and what he regards as an unfair decision.
It's a community park that should have access to everybody, but they seem to have ripped it apart where they've destroyed the area for shade.
A square now wide open to the elements and critics as the town tries to deal with a continuing challenge for communities both large and small. In Lakewood, New Jersey, Gus Rosendale, News 4 New York.
All right, still ahead, thunderstorms are heading our way. We're tracking what you can expect next. All right, we know Janice is tracking some storms here moving through.
Yeah, the clouds are starting to get thicker in the city right now. It's been a beautiful sunny day here, but we've been watching these storms progress off to the north and west. The individual cells have not moved very much, or actually they have, but one after the other, they've been coming over the same areas. And as a result, in parts of Sullivan and Ulster counties, we've seen some isolated flooding. But here they are now edging towards Sussex, New Jersey at this time. So parts of northern New Jersey starting to get in on the action, but that's as close as it's getting. Watch out in Kingston, too. There's a lot of lightning with these storms, and plenty of downpours, too. Upwards of maybe 2.5 inches of rain estimated on radar. We've got a flood advisory until 8:30 for this area, and that's the region where there could be the possibility of flash flooding continue. The possibility of severe storms, that's the damaging wind, and that's possible as it moves eastward for parts of northern New Jersey and even the Hudson Valley over the next couple of hours. We can see the cloud shield already, the highest clouds already pushing toward the city. 82 degrees, the heat index is 85. It's the heat that's really plagued us most of the day, especially where you've had sunshine. Meanwhile, where there's rain, it's down to 70 in Monticello. And here comes that line. Strong storms also moving towards Philadelphia. As they get closer to the city and the coast, they will weaken quite a bit, especially once they reach the city, Long Island, and the Jersey Shore. This will happen between now and 11 o'clock tonight. Still expecting some rain, just maybe not severe weather. All of this is clear by tomorrow morning, and we are going to have a beautiful day tomorrow. A lot of dry air behind this front, and even though it'll be in the mid to upper 80s in places like the city and Bridgeport, Eastport, and Belmar, it won't feel all that hot because the humidity drops tomorrow. Northwest wind on September 1st, Thursday, with temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Less humidity, beautiful high pressure building in for most of this Labor Day weekend. The cold front that's coming on Sunday afternoon, evening may trigger a few showers and storms as it sort of sets up right over the area going into Monday morning. But it'll keep the tropical system that's in the Atlantic away from us. We're keeping an eye on this one that's been out in the middle of the Atlantic, but there's still an 80% chance of that developing and getting stronger. But if that front sets up with the right timing, it'll steer this offshore and not bring any problems for us here in the Northeast, except for maybe some rip currents. 71 degrees is our low temperature tonight. Tomorrow we're up to 87. It's beautiful. We've got the storms tonight, but beautiful weather for your plans all the way into Saturday and most of Sunday. Showers Sunday evening and a few showers on Labor Day itself. Back to you.
All right, Janice, thank you very much. This Thursday marks 1 year since the remnants of Hurricane Ida slammed into the tri-state.
Now we remember it well.
That storm caused catastrophic flooding and killed 16 people in New York and 23 in New Jersey.
And today, New York City's controller is proposing new action to protect people who live in basement apartments. It comes as dozens of families are still forced to live in hotels almost 1 year later. Here's News 4's Melissa Colorado.
Would you ever go back to a basement apartment?
No. Because it's not safe.
Too traumatized to go back to a basement apartment, but too cash-strapped to afford anything else. That is the dilemma facing these displaced families who have called the Radisson Hotel near JFK home for the last year. You'll recall Hurricane Ida dumped so much rain on the city, 11 people drowned in mostly unregulated basement apartments. Those that survived became homeless overnight.
It's very difficult to live in the hotel because we are far from our activities.
No kitchen in here. I have to buy food every day.
These working class families say they're struggling to find an affordable place to rent, even with housing vouchers.
Nobody wants to as a voucher for the city. So it's going to be difficult for us.
The families also point to this letter they received from the city's controller's office, denying them of any payouts for flood damage caused by the city's sewer system.
The city said it's not your problem.
The city denied all 4,000 plus claims from Ida victims, citing a case law from the early 1900s that does not hold the city responsible for excessive rainfalls.
I called the commissioner of this controller and said we need help.
I feel heartbroken for these families, the ones at the hotel. And
City Controller Brad Lander is proposing the basement resident protection law, under which the city will have to recognize illegal basement apartments and force owners to install smoke detectors and backflow preventers that stop water from flowing backward into pipes.
we need a pathway to legalization that makes it easier for owners to make improvements and get them legal and safe.
Now, we also know that several other displaced families are also living in hotels in Brooklyn, and the city controller saying his proposal is just one step into ultimately legalizing these basement apartments and giving these tenants additional protections. In South Jamaica, Queens, I'm Melissa Colorado, News 4 New York.
Coming up on News 4 at 7, celebrating Serena from the air to the open. How fans are supporting Serena next at 7. And we'll be right back with John Chandler and more sports coming up.
The Spectrum Mobile Sports Desk is brought to you by Spectrum Mobile. Spectrum Mobile has the best deal in mobile. 2+ lines of unlimited for only $29.99 each. Switch and save up to 60%. Visit SpectrumMobile.com.
Well, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Yankees still have a pretty comfortable lead in their division, don't they?
Uncomfortably comfortable. Let's put it that way. I mean, yes, they still lead the AL East by 7 games, but you'd think it was more like a game or so reading social media, which I never recommend, by the way. This kind of panic happens when you're used to lead the division by 15.5 games. That has whittled away, and thus you're feeling a little uncomfortable. Still, there was a highlight for the Yankees last night in the 8th. Aaron Judge, there goes number 50, and it's still August. 50 home runs in the calendar, hasn't even turned to September. He's one behind Roger Maris's pace. Judge just the 10th player in history with multiple 50 home run seasons. But it came in a losing effort to the Angels, down 4-3 in the 9th. Oswaldo Cabrera thinking he went Aaron Judge here, making a bid for his first career homer, but it dies on the warning track as the Yankees lose their 3rd straight, all to teams well below 500.
Every team in the major leagues is a good team, and any team can beat you on any given night. If you don't show up, ready to go from the very first pitch, good teams are going to get you.
I don't care if it's who you think we should beat or not. We gotta pick ourselves up, and it's the big leagues.
They just look lifeless right now. Meanwhile, the Mets begin a huge 3-game series with the Dodgers tonight at Citi Field. And across the street, the U.S. Open still buzzing over Serena Williams' opening round win. She'll play again tomorrow night, and it's going to be a tough matchup against number 2 seed Anett Kontaveit. This afternoon, Big Sister Venus knocked off in the first round for incredible to watch. They're excited to do that. Tonight's slate heavy on stars in Flushing: Rafael Nadal, Naomi Osaka, and defending champ Emma Raducanu, all in action over in Queens.
Exciting night.
Yes.
All right, John, thanks for that. We have to get to an exclusive coming up next on NBC Nightly News. You're going to go inside Pfizer to see what it takes to make the next generation of COVID boosters, how soon you could get a new shot. Plus, looking into the rise in street racing, what's fueling the dangerous, deadly, high-speed showdowns. Also, a fast food fight, the new bill ready to bring bigger wages to workers. Why it could come at a cost, though, for customers. NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt starts right now.